Hello everyone, it's Makeda Valletta. I hope take this. Hello everyone, it's Makeda Valletta, also known as the Renaissance Amazon. And in case you don't know me, I am a sacred sexual educator, dancer, nutritionist, and trainer. But today I am going to I want to have a conversation about the whole trans world and gender sexuality, that discussion. It's a very delicate topic, and it's something that I've kind of avoided because I feel like with the trans discussion, I feel like there's really no voice to be heard other than the one that totally supports the trans agenda completely. And I feel like we all are entitled to our own opinions, number one, without hate. I have no hate to anyone. I wish nothing negative on anyone. I do not ever think that violence against transgenders is justified or anything like that. So let me make it clear that I am not saying that at any point, because I feel like if there are different points we want to bring up, things that we may not agree with, things that we may not go along with, people automatically want to label you as anti-trans. A little bit about my background. I have been involved in sexuality education. When I was in high school, I worked for an organization called Around New York, and I went around New York City and spoke to my peers about sexuality, different topics around sexuality. I myself am a bisexual female and have identified as so for as long as I can remember. I also have a twin brother, so I've always questioned what is male and what is female, What is male and what is female? There are a lot of similarities between men and women, but there are also a lot of differences, real differences. The male and female brain is very different. Do your research and look into it. The corpus callosum, the different structures of the brains and how it's wired, and it's very different in women than it is in men. The pelvis in men is very different than women. Women's center of gravity is where our hips are. The male center of gravity is higher up. Hold on one second as I record this video. This is for Facebook. I'm going to throw this on Instagram real quick. On my Instagram Live. Excuse the interruption. Okay. Hey Instagram. I'm doing a video for YouTube and another camera, and I already started the video. So this video is picking up where I left off. But okay. Hey everyone, it's Makeda Valletta, also known as the Renaissance Amazon. And I'm recording this video in two places, on my webcam and on my IG Live. So if I'm looking in two places, please forgive me. So for those of you who are not familiar with my background, I'm a sacred sexual educator, a trainer, nutritionist, but I'm very much involved with the body and sexuality. When I was in high school, I worked for an organization called Around New York, and I went around New York City to my peers and did lectures, and not lectures, but spoke about sexuality, just different issues around sexuality. And I myself am a bisexual female, and I just want to say that I wish no hate on to anyone. But in this conversation, I'm going to discuss the whole trans topic. It's something that's coming up a lot. And I feel it's an issue that I've kind of stayed away from, because I feel like anytime I've expressed anything, or any of us express anything that doesn't completely go along with the trans agenda, we get labeled as transphobic. And I'm not transphobic. I do not promote any violence on trans people at all. They have the right to be who they are. But I feel like we also have the right to have our own opinions. And as somebody who, I have a twin brother, so all my life I have questioned what is male and what is female. What is male and what is female. Some things that people say is a feminine trait is also a masculine trait, like jealousy. I think that men are just as jealous as women. I think men can be just as emotional, if not more emotional than women. So I don't feel like those are female traits. Somebody may say strength is a male trait, and aggression, because women can be just as strong and aggressive. So no. But sometimes that is a cultural thing. But men and women do have a lot of similarities, but we also have a lot of differences. And for example, the male brain and the female brain is very different. It's wired very differently. Let me just do your research. The corpus callosum in the brain and how the brain is wired in men is very different than women. That's why women are better at multitasking, paying attention to small details, yada, yada, yada. Women, the male and female pelvis is very different. If somebody is mangled in a car accident and they want to find out if it's a man or a woman, a lot of times they look at the pelvis. The pelvis of a woman is very different than the pelvis of a man because of childbirth. And the female center of gravity is in the hips. The male center of gravity is higher up. How our hormones work, our knee joints. Females are a lot more susceptible to ACL injuries than men because of the Q angle that we have and also our hormones. There are distinct differences between men and women. Even in medicine, when now we're looking at side effects of certain drugs, they have the side effects on women sometimes are completely different than they are on men. And so there are differences between men and women. And I feel like with the trans world, I feel like what makes all women woman and what joins us all together are the blood mysteries. That is, having a uterus and having a menstrual cycle, pregnancy and childbirth, and menopause. So no, every woman will not have kids, and whether or not a woman has kids does not make her a woman. But every woman will experience at least one, if not two, of those things in the blood mysteries. Because even if a woman doesn't have a baby, she's still just having a uterus and having that ability, and bleeding every month. Bleeding every month is no fun. It's a powerful thing, but it's no fun. And that's one of the things, all the things that we go through around that is what makes us women. And then menopause, those blood mysteries. Men don't have that. And if somebody is born with a penis and male parts, and he says, I feel like I was supposed to be a woman, and you go get surgeries and take hormones, it does not make you a woman. And for me, it's like, to me, a lot of them are making themselves into what their idea of a woman is. And I think that some trans people may have some type of trauma where they're running away. They think it's easier to be the other sex. They think it's easier to be a girl. It's easier to be a boy. Because maybe they're a boy and they're like awkward and like, instead of working on self-acceptance, I feel like people need to work on self-acceptance. Because if I have been living in this world as a black woman, and then today I say, you know what, I've always felt like I was supposed to be Chinese. Always felt that way. And I get surgeries to make myself look Chinese. I get the hair, I get my skin done, I get my eyes and all this stuff, and I move to China. And Chinese people say to me, you're not Chinese. They don't accept me as Chinese. How can I get mad and demand that they accept me as Chinese? A lot of people say there's no difference, but to me, it's the same thing. You have white people who seem like a black person, born in a white person's body. We all know black people who seem like they have a white person that's inside their body. And some of these people are not even trying to act black or act white. They just seem like that was what was inside of them. But I'm sure that most black men being a black man all your life and all the things that you go through being a black man, if there was a white man who said, you know what, I always felt like I was supposed to be a black guy. I never felt right as a white man. And he went and got surgeries to make himself into a black man, I'm sure you might feel offended. Like, you haven't gone through all the things that we've gone through as black men. You know, you see this image of black men and you say that you feel like that's what you were supposed to be. You were born in the wrong body. Now you're getting surgery to become us. If somebody got offended by that and didn't accept you, I feel like that's also valid. And I feel like as a woman, every time we want to do something that's really girly, we have to share that space with gay men, with gay flamboyant men. And again, I'm not homophobic. I myself am bisexual. But gay men can be a little annoying, the really flamboyant ones, because as women, if we say, you know what, I want to be in a beauty pageant, I want to model, you are a cheerleader in a dancing squad, whatever it is, as women, we always have to share that space with flamboyant gay men. A lot of times who are trying to outdo us and trying to tell us how to be a woman. You saw America's Next Top Model. Tyra Banks was queen of the runway. She could have taught the girls how to walk on the runway, but no, you have Miss J. Miss J, all of a sudden, is the walking coach to teach these girls how to slay the runway instead of having a woman do it. And you have these situations where you have these gay men who think they can teach women how to be women. They want to teach us how to walk in heels, do our makeup. Now, a lot of makeup artists are doing drag queen makeup. A lot of girls are dancing and walking around in drag queen shoes. And when I first got into pole, I remember thinking pole dance was so empowering for women, you know. It was like an empowering thing for women. But then, here come the gay dudes, and it's like they want to be extra with it. They come into class, you know, extra naked, doing the tricks extra, and all these girls are amazed by them. But I'm like, dude, he's a man. Like, he has man strength. With pole, there's things that take a woman a year to get that you could just show a man the technique and he can get it today. He has man strength. And now you have, and I feel like as men, when men do manly things, like they're watching football with the boys, they join a football team, whatever men do that's manly, man stuff, they don't have a dyke, a lesbian, butch, whatever you want to call it. They don't have one of them in their face telling them how to be a man, toughen up, hitting them in the chest, teaching them how to wear a tie and how to walk and teaching them how to be a man. They don't. But as women, we always have to have these flamboyant gay men all up in our mix anytime we do anything that's involved with beauty and the arts and stuff like that. So many choreographers to choreograph for girls. Like, I remember for years I could tell Beyonce had a gay male choreographer because gay men don't dance like women. Drag queens don't dance like women, you know? Okay, so going back, yes, with the trans discussion, there are people who are born with ambiguous genitalia and they have that going on. Yes, you have that. That's a different discussion. But when you have people who are just born with, you're born with male parts, and I feel like with the trans, and I could be wrong, but it seems like more people who are born with male parts, or born men, wanting to turn into female. I feel like there's more of that than you see the other way around. And it's an issue, like with sports, for example. Now you're starting to see, on a high school level, trans girls, people who are born males, who are now supposed to be female or whatever, and they're competing against girls in track and field, and they're blowing them out. That's not fair. Look, I'm telling you, I have a twin brother. I remember when I used to blow my brother out, beat him at stuff. I remember. And I remember the day that my brother beat me, and I never beat him again. And that was because testosterone kicked in. And I'm a strong woman, but I'm not as strong as a strong man. Men have man strength. Even men whose arms are as puny as mine are a lot stronger than I am. And so it's not fair. Now you're going to have trans females taking scholarships and taking places of females. Girls, now female athletes, as if female athletes hadn't had enough struggles in the past. Now we have to compete with trans females who were born men, and some people acting like this is okay. I remember this woman I knew in California. She was a client of mine, lesbian woman, got really pissed at me for saying that I didn't feel like a trans female should be racing in a race against girls. Because she, whatever, used to be a boy, and she has, whatever you want to say. It's not the same thing. No amount of surgeries and hormones can make you into that. Can make you into us. Or can make me into a dude. Because even if I get surgery to get a penis made, it's not going to act like a real dick. It's not going to ejaculate. It's not going to act. And if somebody who's born with a penis gets it made into a vagina, it's not going to act like a real vagina. It's not. And so if somebody is really into men and they want a man, a trans man may not do it. So it's like, I feel like it's about being honest and accepting who you are. Like, if you are trans, okay. Be a trans female, be a trans male. That's what you want to do. People can do whatever they want. That's fine. But stay in your lane. I don't want trans females in our beauty pageants. You know, like I think Miss USA or Miss America, one of those pageants has a trans female. I get confused. In the competition. But again, you're taking a space of a girl. Maybe there needs to be trans competitions. Like, okay, have the trans beauty pageant, have the trans sports competition. But it's not fair for you to do that. And then there was a recent thing with a girl who was trans male, who was taking the testosterone, I'm confused. Okay, so she was taking the testosterone to become a boy. And she was in a girls' wrestling match and blew these girls out. But again, that's like being on steroids. That's not fair. So it's a whole issue when it comes to athletic performance and strength. And no matter how much I want to be a dude, no matter how much testosterone I take or what surgeries I get, if I try to go play sports with dudes, I'm going to get hurt. Like a real contact sport like football, I'm going to get hurt. And there is a difference. You know, there's differences between men and women. And I just feel like some of them, like the whole trans discussion, you have ones that want to change their birth certificates to say that they were always female. I don't think that's fair to push that on everybody else. There are people who will accept you the way you are. I know people who have dated several trans people. I know people who have prefer that. I just feel like you need to work on self-acceptance. And anytime you want to get a bunch of surgeries and mutilate yourself, even if you're staying the same sex, but you want to get breast implants and a fake ass and a nose job and skin bleach and because you feel like you're supposed to be lighter and you feel like you're supposed to have a bigger ass and you feel like you're supposed to have bigger breasts. So now you go get 20 fucking surgeries. There's a lot of self-hate and not accepting yourself. And then if you want to go and be a whole nother sex, a whole nother gender, a lot of that I feel like is people's idea of what they think it is to be a boy or their idea of what they think it is to be a girl. Because when I say this, those same people be telling me, oh, so how do you define a woman? And no matter what I say, if I say 2 X chromosomes, they'll be like, well, every woman doesn't have 2 X's. Some women have X, X, and Y. Okay, that's true. Every woman's not born with a uterus. That may be true, but I don't know any woman that wasn't born with a uterus. Whatever women are not born with a uterus, they're such a small percentage, but okay. Or I say, you know, we bleed it. Whatever I say, somebody's negating it, and then they're trying to tell me there's no such thing as gender. Well, if there's no such thing as gender, then why are you trying to be a woman? Then how do you know that you were born in the wrong body if you're going to tell me that there's no way I can define a woman? If everything I say to define a woman, you're telling me is not accurate, and you're dismissing it, then how is this person saying they feel like they're supposed to be a woman? What is a woman then? You're making yourself into what you think a woman is supposed to be. I don't see any. There's plenty of women who never wear makeup, who never get snazzy, who never put on jewelry, who just some plain Jane girls. I don't see any trans person that goes from male to female that just is a plain girl. No. And I just don't feel like, you know, just because somebody's not into that, that's not their preference. No hate. Like I said, I don't wish any hate on anybody. No violence, nothing like that. But just because somebody's not into it and now they're being labeled transphobic, or because we're trying to have a real discussion, especially when it comes to fairness in sports and athletics and just competition in general, you know, and gay men, like I said, I'm not homophobic, but gay men have been getting on my nerves for years because I just feel like they're all, like the flamboyant ones, can be all up in a woman's mix in our world and aggressively trying to tell us how to be women. And now you open up the door of trans, and it's like, okay, it's even more of that. And with somebody like, what's that? Rachel Zolzak. Everybody acted like she was crazy because, oh, she's acting like she's black, and oh, she's not really black. She's impersonating black women. People act like she was nuts. What is the difference between that and somebody who's had a penis, born with a penis, and they say they feel like they weren't supposed to have that, and then they want to cut it off and mutilate themselves? Anybody who's mutilating themselves has some type of issues. And I feel like instead of the conversation being about self-acceptance, especially now, you have kids that's getting these surgeries, little children. They're not even developed yet. And a lot of times it's around people's ideas of what they think is easier. Like R. Kelly has a trans son. Well, R. Kelly has a child that was born female and transitioned to male. And I feel like that probably has a lot to do with his pervy ways and what he does to young girls. His daughter probably felt like it was easier for her just to be a boy. You know? And I feel like there's a lot of that within that. And so, I mean, even... I just know I feel like I'm half male, half female on the inside. You know, I am a bisexual female. I was in the womb with another boy, with a boy, my other half, who is a lot bigger than me. You know, I'm 5'8". My twin brother is 6'2" and like 225 pounds. So I have a lot of testosterone. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I could go back and forth in my head between male and female as best I can because I'm not a man. I wasn't born with male parts, so no matter how much in my mind I might think I can go back and forth to an extent because I'm not a man, and I have to understand that and know my lane. You know what I'm saying? But I just feel, and then the whole ass shots and everything, it's the trans world that has perfected that. There's a trans world that has all the stuff is coming out of, like totally morphing your body into something else. And the same way that girls who are over here getting a gazillion ass shots to get a bigger ass, they got that from the trans world. So if we're going to say that these girls have issues and they can't accept themselves, and now, but it's coming from people who are born boys, who want to be girls, who feel like they're supposed to be a girl, and then they're creating what they think that a woman is. And if we don't accept that, or as a woman, especially as a woman, if we don't accept that, then, oh my God, we're transphobic. I'm not with that shit. It's not fair to force that on all of us and that we all have to have the same opinion. Like I said, I'm not wishing any hate on them, I'm not wishing any violence, nothing like that. But I'm entitled to have my own opinion. I wasn't raised religious. I was raised to think for myself and believe what makes sense to me. And that's always going to be what I do. And whenever I've expressed this opinion on Facebook or anything, I've gotten like 30-day blocks. They're telling me it's hate. No, not with it. So I just wanted to say that and get that off my chest. Make sure you follow me on YouTube at The Renaissance Amazon. And all that good stuff. Okay, have a good day, people. Thank you for listening. Bye.